Oh boy!
What are you doing here?
Just thinking about the next episode of my car story.
Wow!
Hello friends, today our guest is an extraordinary person, car guru, YouTube influencer, outstanding communicator, and only child in the family. Please welcome Costabile.
Aelita, my pleasure. It's good to be with you.
You have Italian roots, am I right?
I do. I was born here in America, so I have all of this Midwestern accent. So one day maybe I get the chance to go back to Italy sometime and see where the roots came from.
That would be great. And then perhaps I can try to pronounce your last name with Italian accent. Would it be okay?
Sure. Yes.
And today in our program is Costabile.
That's perfect. You said it better than I could.
Well, I had some classes on Italian language.
Very good.
What is your story as a YouTube influencer? Why, when, and how all this started?
Okay, so my car story with Lou, the YouTube channel, started a little over 7 years ago, and I was actually, my son at the time was 8 years old, and I was looking over his shoulder. He had an iPad, and I was noticing that he was watching a guy named Stampy the Cat, and it was Minecraft, which is animated Legos with noise, and it sounded a little bit like a Monty Python sketch, where it sounded like, oh, look, here comes Mr. Cow, and he's over by the barn. And oh, look, there's a chicken, too. And I thought, this is the goofiest thing I've ever seen. And my son minimized the screen, and I saw that this video alone had 1.5 million views on it.
Wow.
And then I found out that Stampy, when he minimized even smaller, had something like 1.5 million subscribers. And I went from thinking this is the goofiest thing I've ever seen to somehow he's found some type of a niche that's just amazing and created his own audience. So I was coming back into my office, and we were going to a car show, and it dawned on me that many times I go to a car show and I take photographs of cars and I meet these very interesting people. However, I'm not able to remember all of the things they told me about the car, but if I bring my video camera with, I can actually photograph this, and I could get this idea of doing this. So really my first day of doing it was very specific. It was at the Muscle Car and Corvette National, which is the greatest muscle car show on the planet, and it's at Rosemont, Illinois. So a quick shout out for them. And by chance, I brought my own car there at the time. I had a Dodge, still have a Dodge Viper, and I was cleaning off the wheels in the bathroom, and I happened to have a guy. This is a large conference room, so there were many places and stalls, and I'm a pretty friendly guy, so I said, hey, what kind of car did you bring? There was one other guy there, and as he was washing his hands, I says, oh, I've got a 1973 Buick Sun Coupe. His name was Phil Reutemann. And for some reason, it popped in my head to say, hey, would you mind if I video your car? And Phil went from being a guy washing his hands to, really, I'd love to have my car washed. And he went right up to me, and I thought, wow, that was unique. So he was my very first car video in 2013 in November. And that first weekend, I ended up videoing about 32 cars. I now call those videos my burnt cookie videos. And most of those people have been kind enough to let me years later re-video their car. But, like everybody, I didn't know what I was doing, so I jumped in both feet first and started it. And actually, the interesting thing is probably, you have to have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube before you can monetize it. And when I started, they actually didn't have that rule. That rule rule came in a little bit later. So I think that rule came in like 2015. So I think I had 700 subscribers at the time, and I thought they were stalkers. I didn't realize this is a good thing. So my son had to explain to me, the 8-year-old had to explain, people who are subscribing to you didn't actually like what you're doing. They're not stalkers, because I thought it was just about me videoing cars. I thought that I had a lot of videos and on the channel, and I saw that people were kind of watching it, and I monetized it through something called AdSense, and the rest is history. I just kept meeting interesting people and finding great cars and letting them tell their story.
Very interesting. What are the three most important things to consider when you start a YouTube channel?
Number one, make sure that you're doing something that is about, I know it's called YouTube, but it's really about ThemTube. There are a few people who can pull it off where it's actually YouTube, where it's about them. Maybe they're celebrities or things like that, but I'll call it the regular folk like myself, you have to come up with an idea that people are going to be interested in watching, and make it captivating. That would be one of the first things I'd say. The second thing is try not to make it about the money. Make it about something you like doing, and you probably have more success doing it. So first would be make it about them. Second would be have fun with it. And if it makes money, great. If it doesn't make money, that's okay. And the last thing I would say is you're going to get better over time. So continue to throw videos up that you like and learn from those mistakes. The bonus of learning from the mistakes is there's people out there called viewers. And the viewers will very clearly tell you what they like and what they don't like on your YouTube channel one way or another. So, take that with a grain of salt. If someone says something really nasty, you can remove that. But if they say something that's constructive, and I'll give you a good example. So I thought in my head that to have a real YouTube car channel video section, I thought, well, how many cars would I go to say, I'd like to see that YouTuber with these videos? And I thought the number was 300. So I figured when I got the 300 cars on the channel that I kind of arrived. Now the channel has over 1,500 cars. So the first 300 cars I videoed, I was tossing them up as fast as I could, sometimes 7 in a week, which is a lot. And then what happened, I got the 300 and I felt pretty good. Well, at about the 450th car, one of the viewers very nicely said, boy, I really wish I would have heard that car start. And I thought, oh my God, I videoed 450 cars, had the caretaker right there, and I never asked that person to start the car. So it's those type of things that was probably about 2.5 years into it that you learn. Another thing I learned was YouTube at the time was asking you when you upload a video to, would you like it stable? And I thought, well, I'm videoing with my hands, so obviously YouTube stabilizing my video is probably better than I am. That was a mistake, because what happens is all of a sudden when you ask YouTube to stabilize it, all of a sudden it puts like this warp in the video. If I could do it visually, it would be I'm talking to you and I'm saying, hi Aelita, how's your hair going? And all of a sudden that happens and you're like, what was that? So don't hit the stabilize button. I learned that probably after about 600 cars. so I'm not the quickest learner, but I'm happy to share it with you so you don't have to make a mistake.
Thank you. That's really useful. What advice would you give to those YouTubers who struggle with their YouTube channel?
Well, the first thing I would look at is there's a couple of things. One, visually. The first thing that has to happen is you have to have a good thumbnail, because if there's not a good thumbnail, people aren't going to want to look at it. One of the things that I do is, obviously this is my face, or I could show a car. Well, they're going to want to see a car rather than my face. So I make a real good photograph of the car and make sure that that's the key. I'll even give you a key to that. When you're videoing something, and I've seen this happen many times, and I'll use this Santa as the example. The light is actually on the Santa. So many times someone will do this and there'll be a shadow on the Santa, or they'll turn the car where the sun's not on it. So if I was using this as a car, and let's just say it was parked like this, I make sure the sun is hitting the front corner, across the grill, and across here. So the natural light, maybe 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, versus directly overhead light gets me shadows on all four sides. So there is a little key to getting better photographs versus having shadows on. So that's why you can see my face now and there's a shadow behind me.
Definitely lighting in video, in YouTube, and it's everything.
The thumbnail's the first thing. The second thing is experiment. And I'll give you this as a perfect example. So when I was at a car person's house, they asked me a question. They said, "Lou, do you like model trains?" I thought, who doesn't like model trains? Model trains are great. He said, "Well, I've got a collection of model trains in the basement of my garage." So I said, "I've never seen a basement or a garage." I was captivated by that. So I said, "Yeah, sure, show me your trains." Well, when I walked down there, I was amazed. I said, "How long have you been working on this?" He says, 35 years. I said, "Who knows this?" He says, "Well, just a couple of my model railroad buddies." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what." And I thought I was doing him a favor. I said, "Why don't I video that and I'll toss it up on the channel and see if it gets any traction." So he tells me, he says, "Lou, the model train people really love their model trains." And I said, "Well, we'll see." Well, that video today is my second highest ranked video. It has 1.8 million views on it. And the first ranked video is another model train layout with 2.3 million views on it. So the highest video I've ever had for a car has a little over 1 million views, which was something called the Berlin Beetle, which was a custom Volkswagen. And the other cars I've heard that statistic that the average of all the YouTubers out there, only 1% have any video that has 100,000 or more views on it. And I have about 73 videos with over 100,000 views. So I'm pretty pleased with that.
That's great. Yes, and I love videos about trains. It just looks so great.
So about every 2 months, I try to find a great model railroad, and then I try to share it with people.
Often people complain that they don't have time to post every week to YouTube. And I know you have 4 businesses, including your YouTube channel business. How do you organize your time to manage it all? Does someone else help you to run your YouTube channel?
Well, that's a great question. I've seen YouTubers take a lot of different philosophies on that. And let me give you an example. I have a friend of mine, I'll give him a shout out, his name's Stipe, and he runs Top Cars TV. And he only has 30 videos on his channel, but he outsources pieces of that, and he's brilliant. And he has 60,000 subscribers with 30 videos. And I have 17,000 videos and have 88,000 subscribers. So, there's all different kinds of ways to do it. I guess my way, so I caution people that my way isn't maybe the preferred way for you, but to give you the knowledge that other people have been very successful, doing a lot less work. I've seen some meditation YouTube channels that really are just featuring some calm music and have 300,000 subscribers. I've seen people video their fireplace and have close to 1 million subscribers just watching the fire. So my way is probably the hard way. So let me give you that up front. So my way of doing it is I'm just really passionate about cars. So now I have to drive somewhere to find the caretaker, and then I have to video the car, bring it back, take the thumbnail, clip that, put the text in the video. My son helps edit the videos, so I have to pay him. So he's now 16, so he's just at driving stage himself. I'll have to think about that when he turns 18 because he might go to college. I might have to be his roommate now that I'm thinking about it. But the point is that it's really, for me, I start the morning early and I have a thing where I like to reply to people's comments. especially if they've taken the time to watch one of my videos, and I think it just tightens the relationship. So I wouldn't say I'm the role model for how to do that, but if I can answer the question, how do I run these different businesses, which is your question, is I look at a calendar, and let's just say it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, starting at about 1 o'clock to about 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock, I'll work on my IT business, my technology business. And at the same time, I have a CFO mastermind group that's actually two half days in the third weekend. So those are blocked out for that. A martial art class that I teach, I have an instructor teach that on Tuesdays, so I don't even show up. And then on Saturdays, I have other people teach. Matter of fact, this month I'll only be teaching one class, which isn't great. So I worked out earlier today just so I could feel good for your video. But and then which one did I do there? The YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel, I start the day making some comments. I can keep the comments up on the side, and at the end of the day, I'll answer some questions before I go to bed. And I'm fortunate, and this has been a challenging year, but I'm fortunate that I've been doing it long enough where car people will contact me as well. So sometimes I can, get the cars preloaded and ready to go. And this is a perfect example. If I could use school as an example, until I learned the course syllabus in college, I then was doing work ahead of time. Like if it says it's 10 weeks and it says week 1, you're going to read chapter 1, week 2, you're going to read chapter 2. Well, by the second week, I would have already read chapter 7. So by the end, I'm already, throwing darts and having fun with friends in the last 3 weeks. So the same thing with the channel. If for some reason I can't go out, let's just say I'm snowbound in Illinois, I would still have videos up until the end of March right now. So I let people know as well that although I'm videoing you today, you might not see the video for 3 or 4 or 5 months. So kind of like a squirrel, I guess I gather the nuts and I store them all and then I wait to send them out.
Very good idea. Yes, something to consider. To store for 3 more months ahead. Yes, I like that. Can you describe your creative process? What is involved in creating a 20 minutes long YouTube video?
The first thing I'd say regarding that is I don't base it on time. Many of my videos, a perfect example is my very first videos. Let's take those burnt cookie videos the first weekend. Were probably between 2.5 minutes to 3.5 minutes. That's it. So number 1, I wasn't starting the car. And number 2, I was nervous just doing a video. I was nervous about sitting in someone's expensive car, and I wasn't comfortable. So which created me speaking very fast and going extremely fast around the car and just hoping it would turn out to be something okay. So the first thing I would share with people is don't do that. Don't be uncomfortable. Take your time, get comfortable with yourself, and let the viewers tell you what they think, and that'll help you out. So once I got comfortable, and my son started editing about 2.5 years ago, we could then do different things with the videos. I was watching other channels and seeing what I liked. For example, one of the things I liked was I like to see a car in motion. So I start now. As soon as he was starting the video edit, we start the car driving past me. And then second, sometimes I'm taking a ride in the car, so I'll be in the car just having dialogue like I'm having with you. And then third, I do a walk around the car. I call that the review. And then usually another ride, and then the car driving away. So that whole process is really the key, is to have a process. Don't make it just completely willy-nilly where none of them are the same. And if you can have a process. The other key that I'll give away here is I know I'm not smart enough to know about every car. I'm just not. But I know that the caretaker has done a lot of homework with their car. So all I have to really do, the secret is, I know what I'm going to do to video, and I just continue to ask them questions. So how long have you had this car? Why did you buy this car of all the cars in the world? So my process stays the same, and then we continue to improve it as I call them customers, as viewers watch the channel and give you ideas. When you start to see that your ratings on the video are doing really well, a thumb up versus a thumb down, when you start to see those ratings continue to move up, then you know you're doing something well. Now, on the opposite of that, I've seen channels where they specifically bring up controversy so that they want that 50% thumb up, 50% down. And that's a good strategy too. So whatever your strategy is, make it a process so that you can continue to do it. There's a book out there called The E-Myth. And the E-Myth is that the E is for entrepreneur. It's that I'll be an entrepreneur and I'll just make money. Well, the whole purpose to that book is like a McDonald's or other fast food locations is to have the same process so that people can be plugged into that process. And my martial arts is a beautiful example. I'm teaching once this month, but the instructors are all taking care of everything and they've all been well trained.
Do you reply to each YouTube comment?
There's different philosophies on that, but for me, I guess if you're a superstar on YouTube, you're not going to have the time to do that. But if you have the time to do it, or let's say you're just starting your channel, I highly recommend connecting with those people because those people are already showing an interest in you. And just like a dating relationship, they don't have to. So you have to put some time in and they have to put some time in. So the fact that they've already put some time in and were kind enough to say, I like it, I don't like it, I'm not sure if I like it, or it reminds me of a friend's car or something like that. I reply back to the ones that I can, which is most of the time or most of them. And I'll use my schedule. So I start my day maybe at 6:15, 6:30 in the morning, and I'll probably reply to comments till about 9 a.m. So almost 3 hours of comments just to catch up from last night.
Wow, this is a lot. What set of skills should a successful YouTuber have?
I want to first define that success is based on, I think, your thinking ability. And again, you heard me say that I've seen people who have videoed their fireplace and have close to 1 million subscribers or more than 1 million subscribers. And that really, you just set the camera up and just let it do its thing. So they're brilliant enough to be able to do it that way. And I don't know how many comments they have, but they might have that continually scrolling and people will put that up on their TV at the holiday time. And, I'm not sure how they receive revenue, but that's what it works. So I can only speak about mine. I would say the first thing you have to do is come up with something that other people like, and you find that out by, so first is the idea. And then don't worry if the idea doesn't work. Have confidence in yourself. So I think the second skill you have to have is be okay with yourself. And the second thing after being okay with yourself is don't take it personal if they don't like you. Again, going back to being okay. And then probably communication. However, I've seen people who I can barely understand what they're saying on their channel. I mean, I'm like, what did they say? And they have hundreds of thousands of views. So I don't think communication is necessary. Or here's a perfect example. They may be videoing cats. Cats are not talking to me, but they are doing a backflip or something, and they're, like America's Funniest Videos. Most of those videos, you're watching somebody fall down some stairs, or they get birthday cake all over their face, and they're not saying anything. They just may have a look. So if you use the creative process, you try some different things, be okay with yourself, and be okay to move. Just like the person who said, come on, take a look at my model trains. I like model trains. I have a little bit of knowledge in them, but I didn't think that's what I wanted my channel to be. But the audience said, we like this, give us more.
You have a degree in communications. This is a very valuable skill. What percentage would you give this skill as a contributor to the success in your YouTube business?
I'm laughing a little bit when you said I have this skill. For me to get I have a minor in business and a major in speech communication. And for me, you said this earlier that I was an only child. And I had a choice of being either a lonely child or an only child. I chose that I didn't want to be a lonely child, so I had to go out and meet other people. And usually the best way to meet other people is to ask them about themselves. And once you find out about themselves, they're happy to tell you about themselves. And then they say, oh, he's kind of fun. He likes me. I kind of like him. So I had that skill really from childhood that, you know, you're either going to be playing with your own toys and nobody's going to play with you, or you can play with people, and I like to play with people. So, and even today, I really haven't grown up. I'm playing with people. It's just supersized Hot Wheel cars that we can actually drive. So, and for me, if someone was Hispanic and they have a major in, you know, Spanish, it's very natural for them. So for me, the communication part was very natural. Everything else in school was very difficult. Science was difficult for me. Mathematics was challenging. I got better at that, but it was challenging at first. Communication was the one thing that I naturally was gifted at. So I will encourage this. If you're naturally gifted at something, and I'll give you a perfect example. One of my martial arts students has been watching my success on YouTube, and he's 16 years old. Well, he's also the youngest person to ever attend Elgin Community College at 12 years old in a speech class. And he's ranked #1 in math in the nation. And he just happens to like martial arts. So he's, you know, an unbelievable superstar. But he's a little bit shy. So I had shared with him, he says, Lou, what would you recommend as a YouTube channel for me? And I said, why don't you do your math homework online so you could tutor other people, and you would also be getting smarter, because if they had questions, you have to break it down like you do with your martial arts to the easiest common denominators. It's only going to make you better. So it depends on his gifts. He's gifted at mathematics. I had to really struggle to get good at mathematics. I may be gifted in communication. Somebody else is gifted at, you know, videoing a fireplace. I mean, I would never put that on my channel, but I don't have probably the guts to put it on my channel. I would think that my audience would start to lose subscribers doing that, but it's what people get used to. I mean, people are used to you. You've got that very cheery smile, and you're very energetic, and people gravitate towards people like that. I do anyway.
This is brilliant. Have you ever had a YouTube influencer as a mentor?
Remember that 8-year-old? The 8-year-old in my house? he was a YouTube expert way before I was a YouTube expert. Matter of fact, anytime I start to think that I'm doing really well on the channel, or I tell him that there's a video that has tons of videos, he always shows me some guy who collects garbages and has 300,000 subscribers. So he humbles me right away to let me know that my channel's not as big a deal as I think it is. I learned probably most from other YouTubers, just watching other car channels that I like, watching someone like Jay Leno's Garage. You know, he's probably the pinnacle. And then there's other people who have great channels there, you know, just the different ways that they video things. My son has, you know, Final Cut Pro, which is great editing software, so he can do things with that, you know, slow things down, speed things up, you know, cut, splice where we need to. And, you know, I learned from you. I learned how, you know, you've got that beautiful background and you can see the shadow behind me. So maybe I have to have one of those great backgrounds like you do. And, you know, you learn from everybody, and just pick up tips along the way.
What is your #1 rule as a YouTuber?
If videoing cars ever becomes a 4-letter word, WORK, I stop. Let me tell you why that's important. And I just thinking about it as you're sharing, is the YouTuber's life can be very lonely. Remember I told you, so when I'm out videoing cars and I'm with somebody in their car and we're having fun, that's the bomb. That's the great spot. When you're coming home, let me give you a typical day. Let's say it's a Saturday and I'm going to video 2 cars. So I drive maybe an hour to video the car. Let's just say it's 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. Now it's 8 o'clock when I'm there. We say our hellos, and now maybe 2 to 3 hours goes by, almost, let's just average an hour a car. And that's even with someone that I might already know and have done a video with before. So if it's somebody that's brand new, I have to explain to them what I'm going to do, and that's just going to add extra time. Well, now it's 10 o'clock, and I drive back and it's 11 o'clock. I'll have some lunch or something. And then each one of those videos, just to prepare it and edit it, is probably averages about an hour and a half a piece. So that was 4 to 5 hours in the morning, and now 2 videos in the afternoon, that's 8 hours. And then when you load it, it's about upload it, it's about a half hour, and then I'll take the video after I've uploaded it and go to specific Facebook pages and Twitter, Patreon, and post in all those spots too. So it's a longer process than people might think. And some people do it a lot shorter. Like I said, some people who video fireplaces, I can only admire them. But other people, and I'll use my friend Stipe. This guy's brilliant, and his videos might be 20 minutes, but the amount of editing that he does probably takes an 80-hour situation for a 20-minute video, because he's literally he's doing it full time. And you can tell it might be the top 101 tips about cars that you don't know. So to put in 21 minutes, the number 1 through 101 is probably 180 seconds just for that, let alone all the clips that he creates and finds.
How long does it take to get income from YouTube if you do everything yourself? And what type of income you can expect from YouTube channel?
Great question. One of the first things when people realize you're a YouTuber is they finally ask you, do you make any money doing that? So my 50,000 foot view to that is there's 2 ways. The first way is through ad revenue. And the first thing that you have to do is you have to get 1,000 subscribers. This breaks the hearts of a lot of people who lose heart. So they can, it's not hard to get to 100 subscribers if you call all your friends, but then to get to 1,000 and have people continue to come back gets a little more challenging. And there's a reason why probably YouTube puts a barrier at 1,000, because they know that not everybody's going to make it or have the time. I mean, it took me, just trying to think of my first paycheck from YouTube. I think it was August 2014, so that's almost 9 months, and that was when there wasn't 1,000 person barrier. But to get to 1,000 probably would have been another year. So if you can go a year doing it the hard way, the way I did it, without any income, but remember, rule number 1 is to have fun. Just do it because you love it. I just loved cars, so I wanted to meet these people and hang out with them. So for me, it wasn't about the money first. Now that it's something that I'm investing this much time into, there is some interest in the money, if you will. So each video is, the first thing you need to do is marry your YouTube channel with something called AdSense. Maybe if you're on eBay, you have PayPal, and that becomes your bank, AdSense, where the money comes in and out of, and Google will send it directly there. As soon as you do get 1,000 subscribers and you apply for AdSense and you get your password to start that, you'll automatically in the monetize section see this stock ticker that jumps up. It starts to tell you how much money you made. Now I will give one secret out, not a secret, just situation. The first time I was monetizing all of my videos, but it never had 1,000, never connecting it to an AdSense. It asks you, do you want to monetize? I said, yeah, why not? I'm a business guy. Of course I want to monetize. And I wasn't making any money and I couldn't figure it out. Well, after about 700,000 views, I thought, man, there must be a penny I should have made by now. So I found out, oh, you have to marry it to AdSense, and found that out, connected the two, and got a postcard in the mail. I don't know what they're doing now, but it gave me a secret passcode. And as soon as I entered that passcode, it married the two. But the funny thing was, the very first month that I got a check in my bank account, and it's a very scary thing because you're putting your bank account routing number on this AdSense thing and you're thinking, is this real or not? So once I got a check, it was for $660. And I would thought, man, this is phenomenal. Well, I didn't realize that was like for all of 700,000 views. And the next check came in, it was $125. So I felt like Martin Scorsese on the first check, and I felt like, a complete bumbling idiot on the second one. So, you have to get to that comfort level. So that there's a lot of guys, and I'll be specific. There's a gentleman out there named Graham Stevens, and he's probably the best at talking about. He's very transparent about his channel, and he's very good about sharing how much money he makes. I mean, the last time I watched him talk about his channel, he says that something like for a YouTuber with 1 million views, what can you expect to make? And he put that on there. Each video is a little bit different. There's categories in YouTube. Some categories are gaming. Some categories are autos and vehicles, which is what I'm in. You're probably in how-tos or education. And based on the category, investments, whatever, there's different price points that you receive per 1,000 views. So my trains are actually under the category, there's not one of hobbies, so they're under the category of entertainment. So and each car video will receive different amounts of views. So to answer the question specifically, what do you make? Each video is going to be different. I don't know what fireplaces make. I don't know what cats make. But to answer your question, I average about $4 every 1,000 views generally. And so if I post a video, average for me is about 2,000 to 5,000 views in a week for the first week, and then it trickles down from there. But I have over 46 million views total. So if you did the math, you'd be able to figure out, I think it's like $136,000 or $35,000, something like that I've generated off of YouTube.
But this is the only one way of making income. There are also other ways to make income, as well as sponsorships, or some people approach you, right, to us to advertise on products.
Yeah, and again, I'm just trying to give you the easiest, quickest one, which would be something called AdSense. Yeah, I mean, there's live streaming, there's merchandise that you sell. There's a share a sale, which is, you promote a product and they click on the link. So there's many different ways to make money on YouTube. I want to encourage people that way. And the other way is through sponsorships. You get so popular that someone wants to sponsor you and put a Nike swoosh on you and pay for all your Nike stuff. I've had some of those opportunities where people will fly me out to their car shows and put me up in a hotel, and it's not I'm not Tiger Woods just yet getting those type of sponsorships, but it's extremely nice when somebody else shows enough interest and care in you that they want you to come out to their car show and pay your way there, and then you give them the memories.
What are your goals for 2021?
88,000 subscribers. My first goal is to get to 100,000. That's like a person who starts their career who's good at math and they realize they want to be an accountant. So one of their goals is to not only get their bachelor's degree, but to get their CPA. Well, YouTube has different levels, and your first level is get to 1,000 subscribers. And then the next level up is get to 10,000, and then they get to 20,000, and then get to 100,000. And at 100,000, YouTube acknowledges you like you would a CPA by getting a certificate. So the same way a CPA gets a certificate to hang on the wall, or a doctor gets a certificate to hang on the wall, at 100,000 you get what's called a silver YouTube certificate. So I don't think that it'll show people kind of that I've arrived. I'm doing it because I'm having fun, but I think it will open some doors to some sponsorships that maybe I wouldn't have access to without them seeing. And if I could use subscribers are here, I would put an equal sign to influence. The more subscribers you have, the more influence you have. And I'll be specific. If I had 3 subscribers, you probably wouldn't be on the phone with me right now. You just wouldn't. But because I have 88,000, you're like, hey, this guy's kind of interesting.
I would go to your martial arts studio and would be this way, connected through another way.
You may be the exception, but most people, there's no doubt that subscribers equals influence. And I was just watching a boxing match with a YouTuber. I won't go through all the details. That was boxing somebody else who was an NBA star, which those two guys never would have been able to get into a ring and have people watch them if, one, he wasn't a successful YouTuber. You know, if it was just me boxing someone, no one would care. but maybe my martial art class would. But you know, this and the fact that this guy was an NBA player, he had influence, and people paid per view to watch this, along with another fight that was on there. So, you know, to their credit, they're both creative in ways that they're generating revenue. So it's just, there's a lot, you have to be very smart today and think through things. And I just would say that you have to be encouraged. You know, you have to, it can be very lonely at times. You just have to be able to enjoy so much of what you're doing. And I don't feel lonely because I'm getting the comments, and I feel that people are with me watching them. So that makes me feel good to reply back to them. It makes me feel like I do have somewhat of a connection.
We have a dessert from Lou. We have
Dessert?
Yes, 3 funny stories from Lou Costabile. Yes.
Almost every car video is a funny story, so I'll try to pin them down to funny stories. So one of the 4 funny stories is there was a gentleman who had a 1963 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray split window, which is kind of a coveted car in the Corvette and let alone the collector car world. It's just a beautiful car. It was a 1-year only with the split window, and it became very desirable. So I walked up to him and I said, whose car is this? And he raised his hand, and I said, how do you make a 1963 split window Corvette disappear? He looks at me and goes, I have no idea. I said, you park it next to a 1913 Bugatti and nobody pays attention to it. So he laughed and I laughed. Well, we ended up, from that story, after I'm talking to him, I said, really beautiful car. I'd love to video your car. And when I said that, he didn't know who I was, which is fine. I'm not Jay Leno yet. Maybe one day when I keep doing interviews with you, maybe I'll be that person. So, but the story wasn't done yet. He looks at me and says, there's actually a car that I have that has quite a story. I said, okay, tell me about that car. He says, I have a 1957 Chevrolet. And pausing for a minute, a 57 Chevrolet is probably the design of the 50s classic, but there's a lot of them out there, so it's not all that special. But then he said this. He says, and it's still on the original tires. And I went, what? So now remember, I just met this person. So I said, didn't you say that your wife wasn't feeling too well, so you were going back home? He says, yeah. I said, would you mind if I follow you back to your house? So we ended up videoing that car. It's the 1957 Chevy with the original tires on it. You could see it. I think it has over 200,000 views on it. And that was all. Almost so many videos I do are spur of the moment. When somebody knows I'm coming to the garage, it's not spur of the moment, but a lot of the spur of the moment stories are funny. So the next spur of the moment story is I'm meeting a gentleman named Humberto, and he is from Mexico. He has this great, he sounds like, Ricardo Montalbán. Has this great accent to him. Hello, Lou, it's so good to see you. Come over to me and I will touch you and you will be magically transformed into a better person. He's got that great sound to him. And he loves Lincoln Continentals. And I asked him why he loves Lincoln Continentals. He says, well, when I was a small boy in Mexico, my dad owned one of the first Lincoln Continental Mark IIIs here in Mexico, and I love that car. And he said, me and my brother, we weren't really kind of allowed into the car, let alone I had a Swiss pocket knife, an army knife, and my dad gave it to me. And he didn't like me playing with that, so I put it up on the dashboard, and it slipped into the dashboard air vents. He says, so I lost it. And I was afraid to tell my dad that I lost it, let alone the fact that I was in his car. It wasn't going to work out well. Well, his dad ended up coming home with a Cadillac one day, and he couldn't find the car. So he was telling his brother when he was here in the United States, he said, man, I used to love Dad's green Lincoln Continental. And he was restoring a car, one of these cars. And his brother said to him, he says, I happened to pass this place. And there was a green Lincoln Continental out there, just like Dad used to have. Maybe you want to go see it. So he went to see it, and it was on the ground, and the ground was moist. So the whole under frame was rusted out. So it's just the top of the car was good. Well, he had a good frame, so he needed the top of this car. He bought the car, he brought it back, and as he's disassembling it, the Swiss Army knife falls out of the bottom of the car. I can't make those stories up. So the last story I'll share with you, the third, the strawberries, the nuts, and the whipped cream, the nuts, and the cherry on top. So I'm at that muscle car in Corvette National again, and I'm just about to leave. It's about 6 o'clock. I'm exhausted. I've done nothing but smell car exhaust all day. I am so excited. I didn't eat, so I'm really exhausted. And I'm leaving, and as I'm leaving, they have this big front door, and they have a car up there. They have this purple Corvette, and it was called the Purple People Eater. It was a famous race car, and I've done a video on it, so you can check that out. But as I'm leaving, the gentleman who owns the car is Lance Miller, who was one of the owners of the Carlisle events, this great show out in Pennsylvania. And Lance said, boy, that was fun doing the video with you. I said, well, great, Lance. And I'm getting ready to leave. And he's like, I got this other car. And I kind of know what that means. It means I want to video that car. I was just so exhausted. I'm like, no. But he was such a nice guy that I said, oh, okay, show me this other car that you're so excited about. He goes, well, it's not in the hallway, or it's not in the area here. It's out in the hallway. They have it when people are walking up. So we walk out there, and it's this car called a 2010 Maytag, which looks like a Ford GT, a 2005 or 2006 version, but it's all fiberglass, a little bit wider. And the short story is it's a full-blown race car. I mean, carbon fiber doors, very light. Anyway, this thing has 650 plus horsepower, and we're now in the lobby of a very beautiful place. I mean, there's chandeliers, there's nice carpeting. This is a very exclusive place we're at. And he says, would you like to do a video of this car? And he was just so nice, and I said, okay, let's do a video of this car. So we took off the pins to take the engine compartment out. Now the floor is all marble in here, or really nice polished stone or something. It looks like marble. So we put the car, the trunk of it, we put it behind the car. And when he jumped into the car, like a race car driver jumps into the top of his car, he started hitting all these buttons. And as he started hitting these buttons, my face went like, because it wasn't starting a normal car, like turn the key and it starts. It was, it sounded more like he was starting a rocket. And when he started this rocket, the noise that came out of the back of this car literally shook the whole room, let alone I thought the chandelier was coming down from the ceiling.
Wow.
And the piece that was behind, that we put behind the car, started sliding across the floor.
It wasn't me. It was Larry, your evil twin brother.
Wow.
It was that loud and powerful. And I was like, shut it off, shut it off. So I had him shut it off. I go, what are you doing? You almost got the cops in here. And the smile on his face, watching me get so panicked, was just priceless. So
That's really funny.
those are the three stories I'll share with you.
That was funny.
Thank you so much, Lou, for a very interesting interview. With us all this time was the car guru, YouTube influencer, Lou Costabile.
The best way to stay in touch with Lou and his car stories is to subscribe to his YouTube channel and, of course, like and share his amazing car videos.